Hey, Hoff. Why don't you start the movie? Welcome to Obscure Chatter. Stop yawning.
I was making like a... I don't know what I was doing.
Well, I love the way this is starting already. Welcome to Obscure Chatter. If this is your first time listening, I'm Terri Doty, and why are you here? But aside from that...
But you're talking to me!
Why are any of us here? If this is your first time listening, me and my guest are watching a movie, and you don't know the name of the movie, you don't know the character in the movie, and you don't know any of the actors, you should be focusing on this conversation. What it is this is one of my guest's top 5 movies that she would play if she was trying to show someone a little insight into herself. And this one surprised me, so please welcome Tia Ballard.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
Oh my gosh, we were talking so much before this that it's like, maybe we should start recording.
Yeah.
So we could, as you just so lovingly put, it's like, we should stop talking for 5 seconds so we could start talking. Like, that's basically what it is.
I should have asked this before. To turn down headphones just a little bit. Which knob do I turn?
The one where your headphones plugged in.
Oh, man. Guys, I hope you didn't hear me.
Is that you? That is you, right?
Yeah.
Talking?
I think.
La 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 la.
Oh, no, that's you.
Ah!
Oh, gosh. This is
Too late, Tia.
I might have turned it
Tia.
up at this point. All right, I'm ready. Let's
Hold
do
on.
it.
Which one are you plugged in? I gotta see this. Hold on. Excuse me. Hold on. This is me. This is her. Talk.
Hello, hello. Ooh.
Is that good?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You don't know. All right.
I can't tell the difference.
I know. We could just take the headphones off.
Oh, that is true.
We could.
I'd do like your voice right in my ears.
That is.
Like right in
It has been a minute since we've done. I think we've only ever done one commentary together, and that was Ride Back.
Oh my gosh.
Ride Back in a much tighter space. It was me, you, and Christy at the time Bingham, but now she's Kang.
Oh.
That was a while ago. I posted a clip because I got in my feelings about finally actually getting to hang out with my friend, because I only ever see you when we're like, it's like me and you, me and Monica, basically all my friends that are also actors. It's, oh, hey, bye.
Right?
And I missed you so much.
I missed you too.
I still miss you. You're too far away. She's within
You're
arm.
right here. I was right here. I come closer if you want.
Oh, well.
I shifted an inch.
We decided to go with rolly chairs because they're a little more comfortable. But let's see, what was I saying? Something profound.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
I know, I was talking about Ride Back because I got in my feelings because I was thinking we had met and we'd worked together a little bit, but I didn't really I don't know if we really became friends until we did Ride Back. Like, I took you, well, I didn't take you, but I made you go to your first drag show during Ride Back.
Oh, yeah. That was for my birthday.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because you had a lot of your friends that were very much like, where have you taken us?
A lot of my small town Texas friends at the drag show. It was a lot of fun.
Isn't that so funny? Because you're from the same small town as a very famous drag queen.
I know!
And so it's just like a,
That's why she left.
She went, bye. I mean, but yeah, like, so I posted a clip. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot how much I love Ride Back. Just a great anime, sub or dub. Isn't that a funny thing? I always have to say sub or dub because someone seems to think out there it's like I'm not watching the dub. I'm like, don't. Just please watch it legally, which even then pisses people off.
So half a second when you were mocking the person, you sounded like Bobcat.
I don't watch the dub. Bobcat Goldthwait! See, and that also reminds me of another previous thing because there was that year where I made everyone I know watch old Tales from the Crypt episodes with me.
Oh, yes!
And when it was just me and you, I put on the Tom Hanks one that he directed and he was in. I put in the dummy one with Don Rickles and Bobcat Goldthwait. And then I made Felicia bring relatives over.
and her nephew.
But yeah, no, it's been a ride back. It's been about a decade.
That was like 2013, 12.
Earlier, because I was still, a full-time director, still freelance. I never officially worked for Funny outside of a voice acting capacity.
That frees you up for other things.
It really does.
Like writing a book.
Speaking now. Thanks. But so, okay, aside, like, talking about directing, I was thinking about just in general how you have been doing a lot of directing. When did that start? I don't remember.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. 2015-ish? The first show I directed on my own, I actually wrote as well.
What? I don't think I remembered that you were writing.
Yeah, it was not a lot. After that, I quit.
It's a lot of pressure.
Oh my gosh. And then since it was coming out weekly and I was directing it, I always say I missed meeting my soulmate because I was writing that show. Because in the morning, all day long, I would write and then I would go direct 6 to 10 at night.
Well, there's no break from it. And also, like, whenever you do stuff like that, because I did that with Corpse Princess, I'm like, I love this show. But by the end of it, you kind of don't necessarily hate it, but there just isn't the same amount of love for it because it's consumed everything. Yeah. You're dreaming about it. Yeah. Or being like, oh, can't forget that pickup. And you're like, I haven't slept yet. Yeah, it's a lot.
There is a show, Non-Baka, that Aaron directed, and I fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. And I wrote a few episodes of that because I loved it so much. Get it? All right. If we don't,
we gotta.
I gotta explain this. Hang on a second. Sorry, this is your show.
We got a note from our I was gonna say our producer. I'm the producer. Our other producer on screen that said Tia was running away from me and needed to get closer to the microphone.
I'm shy.
I'm so shy and different. I'm not like other girls. I don't know what that means. Oh my gosh. I think you paused the movie. Thank you.
Nice.
Can you imagine, like, 3 hours? Like, I don't remember
so long.
this flick being so long. Oh, I usually say the name of the movie so Stephen has at least one beep.
It's the longest beep ever.
I'd say it even quicker, like it's...
He's like, oh, I gotta mark it now.
He's shaking, like, stop it. But anyways, we were talking about Non-Baka.
No, I was just saying it was very rarely do I fall passionately in love with a show, and that was one that I picked up to write a little bit of because I loved it so much. But after that, never again.
No.
Because I don't... writing for anime is not easy unless you have a passion for it or are very good at it or really need the money. Because
those three, it's like the goodness pyramid. What was it? You can only have 2 of them. You can't have all 3.
It's tough. It's tough work.
Yeah, well, and especially, not to get too like, some people obviously have a problem with anything being changed. So I'm like, but for the sake of conversation in an anime, even in any kind of dub, there have been dubs that I've watched of live actions where I'm like, why did they change it to that? Mm-hmm. And then you're like, oh, because in that area they don't have this and da-da-da-da-da, and it doesn't make sense to the audience that it's being dubbed for. But yeah, obviously they're and making that joke because I was trying to be like a full-time ADR writer at one point, and the person who's no longer there that interviewed me was like, okay, so like your test script, you were a little too close to translation, and I'm like, I'm not used to that being a problem.
Right.
I'm like, it just felt a little stilted. I'm like, okay, I can get that. Yeah, all right. And this is before I started writing my book and getting even more very personal notes back. They're like, I didn't get this. I'm like, but this is me. They're like, and it can still be you, but it could be more clear. I'm like, Yeah, I get that. But you know, like, said something, you know, like, you know, you wouldn't change something like saying, oh, there's sushi on the screen, and suddenly you're dubbing it and saying there are burgers. I'm like, yes, but I've seen that done, like, recently.
Oh, gosh.
Like, it's not like the Pokemon this is a jelly donut.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's super not a jelly donut. But, yeah, like, the people that do it and do it well, that have lives.
Oh, my gosh.
Are,
That's one of the things on the triangle you have to trade.
Yeah. Do you want a life? Or like, are you currently single? Are you in a stable relationship?
Yeah.
It's a lot for, pardon me, I'm all, not necessarily minimal gratitude. It's just, there's no time to focus on what you just finished. It's about next.
Right.
It's hard.
And it feels, when you're done, at least to me, this is my experience, whenever I was finished with a script, it would be emerging from the cave to see the sun after so long, and then just going right back to the cave and just deciding, like,
you're getting paid.
I volunteered for this.
I volunteered. Like, yeah, you're getting paid, though. Like, I know, but you remember when I had, like, sun exposure?
Like, vitamin D costs a lot, you guys.
I take it every day. I always make the note that I am this pale on purpose.
It's a choice.
Yeah, which some people are like, you're Hispanic? I'm like, there are plenty of Hispanic people that are pale. Expand your worldview. And I'm just one of them. But, yeah, it's interesting. Can I just say, there's one thing about doing solo shows that I love, which is I'm just hearing myself, but what I hate is that I'm just hearing myself. And also, I can take a drink of water without feeling guilty for having there being a lull. Like, someone else talk.
This is me being distracting while Terri doesn't take a drink of water.
Toad slap. And I did. But no, yeah, talking about anime. We did get a lot of anime questions. I want to thank everybody that sent in questions. Tia and I are just talking, and we're so much more than anime. But
you were also friends too. We're also friends outside of anime. I mean, anime brought us together, but we kept us close.
Anime started steering the ship, but it left. It left out a little bit there. If anything, I'd say anime's in the way sometimes. Even when you and I, like, because now I don't, I direct here and there, like, especially, like, if a friend's like, I need someone else to direct this to get this fucking done. I love that I, like, lowered it, like, anyone listening to this show doesn't know that I cuss.
It's a secret.
But you've been directing me, which is but we're so distracting to each other.
We really are.
Like, where the engineer is always very patient. I'm like, you're 45 minutes into a 1-hour session.
We should probably do a line.
I hope you guys know what you're doing. Oh, these characters' lines are all off. Oh, we'll get this in the last 5 minutes. It's fine.
It's always fun, though. Oh, I don't know. It's really good. And it's fun that, you know, tables have turned, but then they also turn. It's like a big cycle.
It is, but like, what was it? Oh, I was geeking out because I like following you on Twitter. You've got wholesome content.
Oh, thanks.
Like, even when someone tries to turn it negative, which I've seen on anybody's page, where it's like, hey, I just thought I'd say chips are nice, and there's at least one comment that's like, oh, so we're just gonna forget fries exist?
Right.
Stupid bitch. You're like, wow, that was a lot for chips are nice. But
if they knew, okay. If people truly knew how easy it is to get me angry, because it's something I struggle with.
Like, you know what I like about you, Tia? You're so positive. And you're
they would appreciate that I make a choice to be kind. And it is a choice.
It is. It's not, well, I'd say, like, even like, I've talked about, like, toxic positivity as well as toxic negativity. Like, the people that make a career out of hating everything. I've definitely leaned that way, but medication and access to a therapist has definitely helped improve that. Also, getting out of toxic relationships and around staying away from toxic people goes a long way.
Right.
And vitamin D. Which is not a euphemism. I mean vitamin D. Who would call that vitamin D? Tangent. Sorry, I'm used to recording alone.
It's fine.
But no, like, it's so easy to just be like, well, no, I can't be upset, because I think getting into your feelings and admitting that stuff is there is just as important as not saying, like, hey, fuck you, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
but sometimes it is nice to say that. But it's so easy, to just go off on the handle and just be like, here are my feelings and I'm throwing them in your face. I'm like,
And also, it's Twitter isn't my journal.
no.
Like,
I probably say more than I should, but even then it's still filtered.
I mean, you don't want to know when someone's having, I don't know, I like being real, like it was an off day or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can't tell you every time I'm having an off day, because why are you here? And if I'm not,
You don't want to snap a pic of you mid-cry?
Right. I'm here to entertain you. If anytime I don't, you may go. And nothing is lost on either side. There's nothing, it's fine. We're fine.
Yeah. I think what I did recently, because obviously, without going into detail, because there's no point, a couple years ago, I blocked a bunch of people for reasons. And the last time I checked, I was at 74,000 blocks.
Wow.
I have less than 6,000 followers, and I'm like, hey, those people, they just know what it's about. Hey, right, rock on.
Right.
But I was like scrolling through stuff, and what it was is there were a couple of like giant toxic people, and I was in a weird headspace and went, anyone that follows them is toxic too. So I ran a chain block, and then I saw that I had like 63,000 recently, because it was 74,000, then turned to 63,000. I'm like, oh, Twitter just did an update where they got rid of a bunch of bots.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that got rid of 11,000 people? That's amazing. But what I did, I ran my own script to unblock everybody.
Oh, wow.
Like, fresh start. Just like in the last couple weeks. Fresh start. I unblocked absolutely everyone, and then reblocked, like, people that are very much like, so women, what's their problem? I'm like, all right, fuck you. Bye, 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 bye. And that's only a little over 2,000 people now. And I feel better, but I'm giving people chances, and so far, only a couple of people have reminded me why they should have just stayed blocked.
Oh, man. I really like that. It took me a lot I blocked like 2 people only, and it took a lot for me to get there, but it was very empowering. A little sad, but empowering.
Right.
I admire, not that I can't put up the boundaries, but I like that it's a hard boundary. You're like, no.
Right.
That's it. I think that's really cool.
It's hard because also, like, it's really easy to get in your head too, especially if you're trying to kind of talk it through with friends that aren't in the industry, not necessarily, but they have social media. It's like, well, I do this. I'm like, yes, but the reason they initially followed me was because of this. This is why it's turning a little negative. Like, for a while there, what was it? I like talking about work, but my social media, I got really weird about only talking about work. I don't want work to be like it.
That's really funny because I feel like I never talk about work at all, to a fault.
Oh, no, see, but that's like, I'm like, oh, cast announcement, this. Or if it's a show I really love, like, Wave, listen to me. I'm like, well, somebody's got to talk about it. It might as well be me. Damn it. This is what happens whenever you, like, release, like, 80 million shows. Like, what shows do we pick? Like, it doesn't matter. I'm kidding. Or am I? But it's really hard to just kind of be like, maybe I should just block this person. But then, like, I've talked about it before. Like, there was an incident where it was only on social media. And I'm like, all right, I just can, I'm just going to ignore this person, mute them. And they can keep blah, blah, blah. I'll occasionally search my username and see if they've said anything. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And then it became like them messaging other people, like, she's not responding to me.
Oh,
like,
man.
get her to talk to me. I'm like, as a teenager, I was stalked for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So, like, it just brought that old trauma back and everything. So I went, fine, block. And that got videos started of, like, she's mean, she's a bully.
No. And you don't know who's looking at those videos.
No. And it's like, and if they're being tagged, or, like, friends are being tagged. In one case, like, a studio was tagged. It was like, she's doing this. And then I kind of went, I'm like, I thought I was doing it the right way, but it got to the point where I'm like, maybe I'm being too sensitive about it.
Yeah.
But then I was doing a convention, and it's like, Terri's going to be there, and I'm going to teach her a lesson. I'm like,
oh, man.
I had to message the head of the con, or the head of guest relations, and it's like, I think they already got a ticket. What do you want us to do? I'm like, I know this is shitty, but can you just, like, refund him? And, like, make sure he doesn't go to the convention? Like, well, we can't do that. I'm like, yeah, I figured.
But I don't understand that.
Right?
I'm not talking in this convention. I don't know who they are, but I'm just saying, like, this person has openly threatened a guest.
Yeah.
That's kind of dangerous.
But money, because I'm sure they buy a bunch of stuff.
Here's your $50 back. Don't let them in.
Right. I'm like, I will pay that. I didn't get paid that much for the convention.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to have security. And then it was like I got my head about that, because I'm like, okay, like, they've got, like, security for, like, Matt Mercer and, like, other friends that have been doing this, like, at least 3 times longer than I have. And then they're like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Terri. Like,
And I'm in danger.
I'm in danger, girl. But yeah, it's like, and the security guard who you actually met. Like,
yeah.
He was so cool. He was terrifying. But then I'm like, he's like,
He's chill.
Military life. So he reminded me a lot of my dad. And he ended up having dinner with all of us, like, all these girls. It was like, me, you, Jade, Alexis.
Oh, yeah. Is that the con that they gave? Okay. I know what you're talking about. That was a fun time.
That was a fun time, because it's like is he like their pimp or something? Or is like he's our sugar daddy. I don't my God. But like, he was so much fun. But there was a point finally where the guy was walking toward me in the autograph line, and I'd gotten to know enough that he's like, you just lost all the color in your face.
Oh no.
What do you want to do? And I'm like, I can't do this. I broke down. I'm like, I can't do this. And then it was like, got him. And then, like, just, like, talked in a little walkie. And the dude was like, she doesn't want to talk to you. She doesn't want to engage with you. You need to respect that. And he didn't leave, and he had to get escorted away. And oh my God. But it's like okay. So all that, like, coming back to it, I'm like, I still feel bad, because he went around everybody's table and talked about how horrible I was. I'm like, I can't control what he says. I can't control how I react to it. So I'm like, I did what I had to do. Alexis walked me back to my room to just kind of be like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm a voice actor.
Yeah. I remember that con. I remember you being shaken.
I was weird for the rest of that convention, and probably a couple of months after that, because I don't know, with what we do, I love engaging with people, and I love seeing how what we do brings people joy. Like, I've had the exact opposite of that, where, like, I've seen a girl, like, break down in tears and just be like, no, like, Virgo and fairy tale, and her mom comes back, it's like, she completely freaked out and left. Can she get a photo with you? I'm like,
oh my goodness.
And, like, I'm, like, getting tissue, like, wiping her tears. I'm like, sweetie, I'm not that big a deal, I promise. And just like, like, I remember those, and those mean more, but sometimes it is hard for not that one person to ruin the party for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, when you block people, like, that's what I think about now. It's like, will there be repercussions for blocking somebody? If at the end of the day it's just like, oh, she's just sensitive. I'm like, mental health. Nope. Can't do it.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry that might spoil a show that I'm in for you, but not enough to, let this be in my life.
I don't know, I've really recently started really reflecting on the things that affect us when we're younger and the things that affect us in our career and the people, and just kind of living the truth of you can't let your emotional core be based around somebody else's weakness. So their interpretation of you is just a reflection of them, their weakness, who they are. And I had found myself like, who I am is reflected by what they think of me. And it's so not true. But that's kind of what I was trained to do when I was younger, which is like,
it's optics. It's all
right.
optics.
It's like, you just stay really, really still and you stay really, really quiet and everything's okay.
But don't let them know that they upset you, because then you'll look blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, then you're proving someone right. And you just can't. I don't know what happened. I guess I turned 35. Which is like,
Saturn's return every 27 years.
That must be it. I'm thriving, not surviving.
But no, it's a hard thing to do. Like, for me, it's like very much what my big thing. It was finding, like Stephen and as well as other friends, you included, where you're not liking a persona that people expect from me. A lot of people expect me to be hardcore acerbic and very, I guess, rude and sarcastic, which I can be those things, but I'm actually, it's that cinnamon roll thing, or I'm like a coconut. Like, I've got like a really yummy center. There's other things that could have done better than coconut. But here we are. Like, a coconut's a stubborn thing, but maybe that's apt. I don't know. But, like, I remember when you and I, getting back to it, like, or like circling back to that thing, like when you and I like really started hanging out, there were a couple of people that's like, oh, that is not a friendship I would have seen coming. Like, the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
But it's because you're letting people's perception of you dictate, like, oh, that must be who I am if that's how you see me.
Right. And I will say, in those people's defense, whoever they are, when I started at Funimation, because that's when I met all of you guys, we all run in the same circles, kind of.
I mean, just actors in general.
No one was going to see a crack in the porcelain. No one was going to see the real me, because if you see the real me and you don't like me, well, that's just too close. And so it took a lot of, they were, it's their own whatever for assuming, but I didn't help the situation either. So
probably the same. Probably.
But you know me. I am super sweet, but I'm also a big weirdo. And I got a little bit of a temper sometimes, and it's just human.
Your weirdo, I immediately honed in on your weirdo. I love your weirdo.
We see each other out. Weird people are the best.
They are. Weirdos, or the Keep Austin Weird. I'm like, I need like a Keep Austin Weird sign, but like just about like being weird. Like, just continue to be weird. Because
everybody's thing like whatever your weirdness is, it ties back to something.
What is normal? What is that? Like, what in general, like, I'm just a normal guy. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah,
what is that?
Does that mean you've had no trauma?
What's that like?
How have you been coping if you don't like ventriloquism?
See, but I love that. Or like anytime you and I have gone antiquing or whatever, it's like this is really cute. It's got kind of a creepy edge to it. And then just kind of looking at each other like, who's going to get it? You or me?
I'm gonna buy this.
Because I'm thinking me. Give me that. Or doing like tea rooms at like places and just talking about like writing weird fiction. It's fantastic. But yeah, it takes a long time, I think, to truly know yourself. And even then it's like, well, what I think is like, my book is just going to be like a sentence at the end of my life. And I'm treating it like it's like my entire life story right now. But it's because it's happening in the now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's easy to get caught up in it. But I mean, when you're in your emotions, I don't know. It it's really easy to start letting people's perceptions of you figure into who you are. But therapy, again, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And friends that come from a good place. But therapy I do like because it's just someone without a stance in your life.
Right. Absolutely. I'd run into that with dating a lot, would be having this expectation of who I am as a person put on me.
Like, oh, I thought.
Yeah, like, I don't know, just something basic like, I'll do my hair, wear dresses or whatever. But also, I want to wear my sloppies, and this is a 3-day shirt. What's up? And then kind of feeling like I'm in a minefield of that not being okay. And it's like, oh,
Right.
you don't want to know me at all. You want to know, like, you want the trophy princess version. That's not real.
No.
That's not real in anyone, and it's not sustainable.
No. Or, I mean, I've definitely, I think I've dated someone that's so similar to me that it's like, wow, we are fighting a lot. I'm like, that's what happens when you fucking date yourself. And it's just like, I'm so shocked that didn't work out. But then dating someone that I thought was a perpetually nice guy, but seeing that as a weakness. It's like, I'm like, well, that says everything about me and nothing about him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And like becoming friends afterward and him just being like, yeah, we each got some soul searching to do. Damn. I'm like, yeah, you said it, buddy.
That was me on the plane ride. I was on my way to California last week, and I was watching a random show, but it opened a thing for me, and
that's so funny. You're like, oh, why this?
Yeah.
Sneaky.
And the stewardess was asking for drinks, and my instinct is to be like, why do I always link love and fear? Why are those, like, they're always together, right?
It's...
Oh, no.
No. Or, I forget, Stephen and I were talking about something, and I said this, like, I forget what it was, but it was, like, in the last week where I went, oh, my God, yeah, because this happened. Like, that's why I did it. Oh, my God. Oh my God!
No! But also, yay for me. Healing.
Self-discovery, like writing that down, bring that up at next session. Like, oh my God. Yeah, we were talking about sports. We were talking about sports, and I'm like, well, my mom really wanted me to play basketball. And Steven's like, you hate basketball. I'm like, I do. It probably has something to do with the fact that I got into basketball because my mother said I was tall. And I went, but then she stopped coming to my games because she got a new job. Oh my God. That's why I hate
that
thread.
Oh no, it's all unraveling.
And Steven's like, do you like basketball? I'm like, I might. I'm going to give basketball another shot. Oh my God.
I was talking to Eric Vale not too long ago, and we were talking about therapy, and I was talking about like way back in the day, my first therapist, and just me, like, is it weird that I used to tell him I was getting better so he wouldn't feel bad about doing a bad job? Like, so he would feel like he was really good? And Eric's like, what? Like, let's start there.
And then Eric pulls out his pad and he's like, your hour
Keep going.
Your hour starts
Right.
now.
Like, am I tightly wound? Like, are you ever not tightly wound?
Or the biggest, like, for me, like, and I posted about it because I thought people would enjoy it, but there was just a moment because I'm estranged from most of my family, but I was just like, well, you know, we've had these arguments before and we always end up working it out, but it's just, I set this boundary like you told me to, and I don't know, maybe it's not a boundary. Maybe I'm just holding a grudge. And then the therapist, like, are you holding a grudge, or is someone just not respecting that boundary? And you're so accustomed to it,
Spinning it back on yourself.
that you are basically geared for gaslighting. And I'm like,
Ow. Yeah.
I actually went, holy fuck, dude. And he went, I have my moments like that. And it's just, what? Oh my God. And he's like, do you want to end? I'm like, can we end right now? You can keep the whole hour, obviously, but, like, I don't know what to do with that. So, actually, like, we just sat there. I'm like...
Right.
Yeah, where... I don't know. Yeah, but people-pleasing or, like, hey, this is not how I wanted this thing to be, and here are all the reasons that it should be this way. I kind of have a problem with that. And, like, why? Like, I don't know. I don't. I lied. Everything's great. You're doing a really good job.
I lied.
I lied. Or the Trixie Mattel, like, I follow Trixie on Twitter, and it's like, I am nicer to servers than I am nicer to servers than I am to any member of my family or friends. I'm like, that's me. I'm like, please like me. It's not even like I'm not afraid of you spitting in my food. I want you to know that I really appreciate you bringing me everything.
Also, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Here's a 70% tip.
Like, actually, you sit down. I'm going to wait on you now. You are a hero.
Oh my gosh.
So you went to LA. I saw that. I also saw beautiful photos from you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, you can't talk about it.
I can, actually. I went to visit Felicia for her birthday.
Oh.
Yeah.
How is she?
She was real good. Everything was great. And she's moved, and it was really hard on me. But I will say, visiting...
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit on Felicia's show.
Yeah. I say really hard on me. It was really hard on her, too.
I'm not sure if you've thought about your life decisions affecting me.
Right.
Like, are we dating? Like, kind of.
You said we were friends. Are you a liar?
I didn't know
obviously you're
such
abandoning me. But it was such a...
It's such an intense look. Are you a liar?
The visit was normal. It felt like just hanging out with a friend and not this is a big deal because I'm visiting here and the next time I see you might be months from now. It was like, let's just chill, and...
Don't put too much pressure on it. Or like, I've scheduled an itinerary for us. I'm like, can we just be?
Yeah, let's just do it. And that's what we did. And it was so, so much fun. And I had just gotten back from Hannibal, Missouri, where I go every year or try to go every year. And I'm just like, I don't know. It was just a wonderful month of travel for me.
I'm terrified to travel. How was traveling with everything?
California was great. Missouri,
It's Missouri.
I love Missouri. I mean, I love like country, whatever. But if you're talking about pandemic style, nobody gave a crap in Missouri. No.
I want to give Missouri another chance. I've had nothing but bad experiences.
Yeah.
And one good convention, but like getting there and everything was horrible. And I've been there one other time. I'm like, I need Missouri to be better in my mind than it is right now. Because I call it misery. Like right now, and it's like, I'm from Missouri. I'm like, you're from Missouri.
Oh my gosh. I have the opposite feeling. The Mississippi River, sometimes I need to see it with my eyes. I don't know. It represents something to me.
When did you start going?
Oh my gosh.
You said every year.
I started going actually in 2016, maybe? 2016, which is not that long ago. But
hey, it's enough that it's a decent...
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I go and I compete in the Tom Sawyer Fence Painting Festival like one does.
Why not?
Of course. They have an over 30 category, you see. And when you win, you get a plaque. And I really want that.
Oh, I was like, what's the plaque look like?
I don't know. But
I don't know, Terri.
I know I don't have it. And it really upsets me.
How does one, well, I guess by painting.
So Hannibal is where Mark Twain is from, wrote Huckleberry Finn, which is my favorite book, and there's Tom Sawyer and all that. So every year they celebrate, their big author is Mark Twain. So they have a whole festival. The weekend is full of cool things. And one of them is fence painting, where you dress up like Tom Sawyer. You have to have on your person all of the things that he would have on his person at any given time.
Wow. They are dedicated.
Oh, yes. And they have a thing, like a fence set up for you. You have your paint bucket.
You have to sign up like well in advance so they have everything.
When I showed up, I put myself on the list, and they were like, "Oh, you're the only over 30 on the list." And I was like, "Good, give me the plaque."
Shouldn't I just get the plaque?
But then there were like 10 other people that showed up. Anyway, so the rules are they give you the paint bucket, you place it, you cannot touch it after you place it. And then you run to the fence, you paint it as quick as you can, and you run back. And you're judged on your speed, you're judged on how well you paint the fence, and your costume, which includes all of the stuff.
Oh my God.
I was ready. I collected all these things.
You stretched. You practiced.
Scanned the book for ideas. There's like 5 things maybe I didn't have. I was like, I got this. Last minute, this dang woman comes up with a wagon full of things. And she won. And she did a great job painting the fence. I will say, she killed it. I got excited. And I just got too excited this last time, and I lost. But this next year, I will not. I'm gonna do a little training. I'm gonna train to fence paint because I want the plaque, and it's a 10-hour drive.
Oh, you drive there? Mm-hmm. Well, of course you would have to with all that stuff. That makes more sense than. I did not know. I'd known that you do it. I didn't know that it was so involved.
It is.
But I'm saying that knowing full well I do zombie hunts. Can I really be like, wow?
And I appreciate let's just do it. Let's just go all in. I'll show up, So I had, one of the things, it was like a jar of tadpoles.
Oh my God.
Marbles. A rat. A kite string. Just random things a boy would have. And so here I am, unloading my pockets. This is my rat. This is my kite. And so I thought I had her beat. Anyway.
See, that's why you young up, right? You young up. See if you can pass for, the teenage thing. And just become the woman. It's like, this voice actress totally swindled these kids out of this prize.
I would. I really like awards is the thing.
Do you have a lot of awards?
I love collecting awards. I don't know why. All my UIL trophies and things from high school. That was on my acting resume forever. UIL participant.
I still have, what it was is, before my mom's... My mom fell asleep, with the fire going, and what she didn't know was that the fireplace had shifted, because Texas, and just being a house on a slab. And so there was a crack behind, and fire traveled throughout the house. And my brother just happened to be asleep on the couch. He's like, everybody got out. But she was like, oh, thank God that you got all your awards. And I'm like, do you think I have the awards, on my mantle? And she's like, well, why wouldn't you? You worked so hard for them. I'm like, 20 years ago. And then I'm like, but isn't that the whole point? I got in my head about it. I'm like, they are cool. And I know the school spends a lot on those awards. But, they're just in my closet. Except for one, which is my K-Sam. I went to Sam Houston High School in Arlington. And I was on the morning announcements.
Nice.
Senior year. Not spread, but yeah, it's my K-Sam award, for being an announcer, and my Friday Night Live award, because I hosted a talent show.
I love that.
But and here we are, Tia. Here we are now.
Talented.
20 years later. Still talking about those awards, but
I have no idea where my awards are, to be honest. I just like them. I don't know. I like the thought of standing there dressed like Tom Sawyer being handed.
It's a tangible thing that represents something that more than likely isn't tangible. A memory isn't tangible.
I'm here.
But
you were here.
I was there. Yes. I said that and I'm like, that sounded good. Yeah, Terri.
But Felicia especially is really good about I want to do this. Do you want to do that, or do you want the award that you get if you get that? It's maybe I don't know if I want to be a doctor. Let me think about it.
That was Terri, do you want to be an oceanographer? Yes. Do you? Or do you just really like orcas? I'm like, it's probably that.
Exactly.
Damn it, it's probably that. Do you want to play basketball? No. Or do you want to play basketball because you think that's what your mom wants to hear? Like, that.
Yeah.
Just, but I still got 2 basketball trophies because I stopped showing up and they thought I got really sick.
Counts.
That's not a lie.
Free trophy counts.
That's not a lie. That actually happened in the 5th grade. They're like, my friend in the same homeroom as me is like, are you like really sick and I just can't tell or something? Like, why aren't you showing up to the games? And I'm like, yeah, super sick. You see my grandma pick me up? It's like right when she picks me up, I go get tests done.
For me, it's not even about winning first place. I don't know what it is. I just like.
Let's expand on that, Tia.
Let's talk about it. Let's
talk about it.
visit
This is
it.
a safe space.
I will say, I got really, really upset when that woman beat me.
Because did it seem like just by her likely doing the same amount of research, blah, 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 just because you weren't expecting her?
She was from the town, and I was like, oh, someone got the list. And when I love something, I love it passionately. So, ergo, if I lose this competition, I obviously don't love Huckleberry Finn enough.
I mean, it's an easy thing to fall into. Or I've been rewatching a lot of Drag Race, because I love Drag Race. We've talked about this numerous times. Like, who are you? Like, people are like, oh yeah, what Sex and the City character are you? And we're all, and me, you, and Felicia are like, what drag queen are you? And when I said, I didn't even finish saying Bianca Del Rio before Felicia's like, yeah. I'm like, thank you. I agree as well. I don't think Stephen's Pearl though anymore. I think he's cooler than Pearl.
Cooler than Pearl.
Sorry.
I just finished watching. No, I think I'm on the last episode of RuPaul Vegas Review.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's
Is it
actually
good?
really good. I'm enjoying it, but there's only 6 episodes.
Damn it!
Because the pandemic started. I had to
I
stop.
know, like totally, like random finishing that, but like random finishing that. But I was watching like All Stars season 4. And there was a point where, like, they were doing a Sex and the City episode, and Monet just kept talking on and on to Trinity about how what she would have done to play Samantha. And Trinity, I focused on this in a weird way, but Trinity was like, just because you're a fan of the show doesn't mean you would have done a better job than me. And Trinity won that week because of her Samantha thing. But it was like like, just because you're a fan doesn't mean that the level is where Trinity was at. And it's fine. They both won that season, so it worked out. But, I need to watch more things, and also less. It's just, it's hard with the pandemic. Oh, that's what I was getting to. Because I watched have you seen the HBO show We're Here with Bob the Drag Queen, Shangela, and Eureka? Mm-mm. It's great because they specifically travel to small towns and do drag. Like their first episode, it's just them showing up in their each stylized little bus. Like Shangela's got like Shangela's isn't really on theme, but Bob's is like a giant purse, cause purse first, and Eureka's is a giant elephant. But like the first thing they do when they show up in a town is, walk around in drag being like, hey, we're doing a show this weekend. Please come. Da-da-da. Ba-ba-ba. But the first couple of minutes of the entire show, they show up and they go to a thrift shop or something. And they leave. And 2 seconds later, a dude comes in. He's like, hey, because you let these freaks in here, I'm never shopping in here again.
What?
And this is why they're doing this.
Yeah.
Expand some minds and shit. And of course, the store owner's like, all right, bye.
People are so strange.
I don't
like, let me
get
just
it.
make a point of.
Just so you know, I've never shopped here, and now I never will.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, but I love this show because what it is they pick 3 citizens of the town or the surrounding area, and they put them in drag, and they've got allies as well as people that used to that have just recently expanded their minds or trying to reach out to daughters that they just weren't of the mind to really accept in the beginning, and now they're trying to prove that they are and they're sorry, or, you know, in honor of people. There have just, there was one that I'm just like, oh my God, I wasn't prepared for this. It's a show about men that look hotter than me. That's, but, the last episode, I'm like, all right, last episode of season 1, let's go. And it's like, because of the pandemic, I'm like,
Yeah.
I found that in everything. And I've obviously done it myself, and we've done it with our profession, where it's can you believe we were able to do this in spite of this? And it's like, yes, but then sometimes I'm like, I want to be able to escape.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to be reminded of that reality. Like I love something that people may or may not know about me. I love romance books. The new adult, which is, you know, people of like 18 to 23, that's considered new adult romance, women's fiction, all that. Historical fiction, especially if it's at the turn of the 18th century, early 1900s, where it's like, she's living as a boy to
Oh my goodness.
blah, blah, blah. I'm all for that. But anyways, there's like I was reading a book by an author that I really enjoy, but it's like me and da-da-da wrote this in the middle of the pandemic. And it's a meet cute about these two people that have to stay in their apartment. I'm like, I don't want to read this.
Right.
But I get it. So you try to be understanding, but also.
Talking about the turn of the century stuff, I'm a deep lover and a deep lover of beauty, and that is like my jam, but I can't emotionally handle it. Just like, what do you mean? Her bloomers, though. Oh my gosh! Like, I get so flustered. Felicia and I watched Crimson Peak, and I thought I was gonna die. Just like, I can't.
See, but it was a subtle like.
But it's just like the frills and the lace and everything's so delicate and beautiful, and it's just too beautiful for me. So I get all flustered, and I couldn't watch Pride and Prejudice until just a few years ago because it was just too much. It was just too beautiful.
Too beautiful. Huh. I could get that. I can get down with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know what like your body or your mind is about. You're like, this should be my jam. I don't know.
I can't, like, doing this, I can't watch, my top 5 I sent you, I probably haven't watched them in years, because sitting down, or just playing them when I'm washing dishes, is too much. I can't, like, I gotta be like, it's an experience, and maybe I'm not ready for that all the time. Like, I can't just casually, I never watch movies.
And that, I think, is more normal than what I do, which is... I'm a latchkey kid that was left alone a lot, and movies were a way not to feel alone. So especially when I'm alone, I need to have a movie on or music on or sometimes both. I do that, like, I make that joke like that John C. Reilly and Talladega Nights, and like, why would you want the TV on but music? I'm like, because I like to party. Like, that's exactly how I see it too. I'm like, I want all the speakers in the house to be synced up to the TV, because I've got this awesome, it's totally not a plug, I have no sponsors, but the Sonos system is great, or I can just link it all through Bluetooth and be like, I'm writing, but I know in the living room that Tales from the Crypt is on.
Oh my gosh. I wish I could do that. It just hurts my heart too much to watch the things I love.
I think that's kind of sweet. I wish, like, in a way, I'm like, I kind of wish
sad.
that I would, no, I kind of wish I would be that way instead of like, cause, the way that this all initially started and the concept, originally came to be was because, I think I've told you this, but like, I was watching a movie. I really love horror. We've talked about this, and it's very evident. Like, I really like horror movies, especially old school 80s, 90s horror, with practical effects and all that. But, an early 2000s film, it's one of my favorite, it's my favorite film. But it's also about just what it is to be a woman. It's a commentary on all that, but it's called... I love this movie with a passion. My dad got me into it, and he got me into a lot of my horror movies. It's... Let's go. I love it with a passion, and a guy I was seeing, just super, super like shit on it the whole time, and I was showing him it
Oh, no.
because I loved it so much.
Oh, no.
And so, not being completely myself in that moment, I like fully like okay, hadn't gone to therapy, and I was still dealing with a lot of shit from my dad passing and all that I took him hating it very personally.
No, that makes sense.
But I'm like, but I told you like that my dad got me into this and da 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 da, and like you.
So he knew how intimate it was.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like, come on. You had
know.
every right to be upset.
Thank you.
I think.
But also, yeah, like I think it was a mix of things. It wasn't like a absolute wrong da 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 da, because we also are both hecklers. He was the guy that I dated that was very much too much like me.
So he thought, oh, we're gonna sit together and
heckle
trash this.
Yeah, like it's not Mystery Science Theater or anything like that. Like you and I are definitely talking over a great movie, but like I'm not like, oh, like wear lipstick much or something. Like watching the screen, that's the insult that I thought of. But yeah. And so, like, it just became, like, and I've done that over time. Like, when I lived with my friend John, and I say my friend Max, but Max had already lived there, too, and I just kind of did it. That became our thing, is, like, you know, like, oh, my God, I love this movie. Let's all watch this movie. Like, you like this movie? I have never seen this. It kind of tells me something about you. Like, you kind of, like,
yeah.
And then with Stephen, it kind of firmed up more because Stephen and I are 6.5 years apart, which a lot of people are like, I thought Stephen was your age. I'm like, he seems my age. I forget sometimes. But yeah, like, there's a 6.5 year difference. And I'm like, oh my God, I loved this movie as a kid. And he's like, I've never seen this movie. And then vice versa. And just learning little things. I even did it earlier this week. It's a horrible movie, but I love it. Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Have you ever seen it?
No.
The whole premise is this kid loves film. Like rewatching it this week, I'm like, oh, I'm catching some stuff about myself.
Oh no!
Rewatching this, but he's a single, like he's a latchkey kid. His mom's never home, and he always goes to this movie theater that's so decrepit. But he knows the projectionist, so he always just watches movies for free.
Aww.
Like as like hobos are also asleep in the theater, but he gets this ticket from Harry Houdini. And, you know, the projectionist is like, yeah, no, I love Houdini, but, you know, da-da-da-da-da. Well, there's this new Jack Slater Part 4 movie that's played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do you want to see it? And he pretends to hand him the ticket and tears it up and, like, puts it in there. And the kid gets transported into that movie.
That's kind of cool.
Into the movie world. And it's just like, oh my God, this is ridiculous, but I loved this movie. And this movie bombed hard. But Steven's like, I love it. And I'm like, and it was this thing, like, if you had hated it, I totally would have understood, but I'm like, I'm glad you like it.
I love that. I had a birthday party a few years back where we watched, it was a Mario-themed party, because you know I love Mario. And we watched the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is notoriously not very Mario-esque, but it's a really fun science fiction movie.
It's a movie that, like, yeah, if you just, like, throw away everything you know about the universe.
It's a fun thing. So, but I had to, like, it was a group of, like, 20 people, and I had to stand before them and say, hey, I know what this is, and I know what it isn't, but this means something to me. Please don't be those people. I want you present and enjoying this. It sounds like a really lame move to do at a party. But
It sounds like
I'm not a control freak, but...
Can I get the spotlight on me? You get the microphone. Thank you for coming out tonight. I didn't think
Thanks so much for celebrating me, everyone.
I didn't think that the tickets were going to get sold out, but they did. Congratulations, me. Clapping for me.
Oh my gosh.
And afterward, there will be a Q&A. There is no open bar. Please enjoy. No talking.
Yes. It's like, I'm not a fan of, if you're my friend, mean teasing. Yes, teasing's fine, but like... You know how people can be. Just like, oh, we're close.
I'll do
like,
it,
no,
but there are people that both you and I know that I'm like, dude, I can dish it back, but where's the joke?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like the world is so cynical. Why does that have to exist in our friendship? Don't be cynical. You can tease me, but it's not welcome energy.
It's got to come from a place. It can't be like no punching down for the purposes of only punching down.
Right. Or like, oh, this is low-key resentment.
Yeah.
I'm feeling. That's not okay. But that's kind of how it was at the party, was just like, hey, it would be so easy. But you know what would be a challenge? For you to be here with me and not do that. And we had a blast.
I still quote that movie. That's where I developed my crush on John Leguizamo.
Me too. And Luigi simultaneously.
Oh my god. Yes. No, like I quote it to this day. Like I was rewatching Ferris Bueller at one point, and I'm like, why does that guy look familiar? And I went, evolve. Advance. Like, it's the stupidest thing. Or, like, if I see something in the street that just kind of is a tumbleweed, I'm like, ba-bam! Like, the dumbest shit.
Have you ever kissed a lizard? Have you ever seen John Leguizamo in The Pest?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's an interesting
First 30 minutes, awful. After that, great. And I quote it my whole life.
He had a show that he, like, didn't even last a season. It was like, okay, and Living Color is doing well. I think it was still going at the time. Saturday Night Live's been going da-da-da-da-da. We need something with Latino flair. And I'm like, yeah, bring it. Because I'm always like I need more Latin figures in my life. Let's go. And he did a show called, House of Buggin'. It was horrible. But, he just didn't have that magic. But I'm like, he can do some really good serious stuff, but occasionally when he's just like there for a second, like I love the John Wick films. I'm obsessed with Keanu Reeves. I think that's been made abundantly clear to anyone who follows me on Twitter. One of which is one of the writers of all the Bill and Ted movies that I'm like, he hasn't said anything. I'm sure it's fine. I'm like, yeah, that's great. Stay away from this woman. Click. But there's he's in like 2 scenes, like Leguizamo, but I'm like, but he owned both of those scenes. Yeah. Like Leguizamo.
Yeah, he gave me like new feelings.
What is this? My heart.
What's this?
It's just like the witch said. It's the dumbest fucking thing. Yeah, or like, and of course there are movies that are just bad that because of what was happening in your life, you've latched onto them in a certain way.
Yeah.
And the same thing with books too, which is so funny. Stephen reads more nonfiction, but one thing that we've been doing is, he just can't latch on to stuff like, as well with fictional stuff, reading it. But I'm like, I really love this book.
Okay.
I really, really love this book. So he'll buy the audiobook for it. And I'll wait for him to finish the audiobook and then we'll talk about it.
Yes.
But then there are times where I'll just be reading and Steven's like, oh my God, what's wrong? I'm like, this character just died. I need a minute. He's like, I don't know how to comfort you.
What do I do?
I'm like, something is happening in this world and I just need you to like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
He's like, okay.
That's the thing, though. That's the beauty. That's too much. That's what I feel endlessly with anything I ever like. It's awful.
So I don't know. Now you've got me thinking way too much about your reasons for going to Hannibal.
Oh, I love Huckleberry Finn. He's a philosophical vagabond. I see my dad in him, but also myself in him. And, yeah.
I don't think you've ever explained it.
Yeah. And there's, like, ventriloquist dummies. It all ties back to something that's more meaningful for me.
Yeah. Jaws, I love that because my dad told me all these stories about when he was in the Navy and, like, seeing, like, all this different marine life being on ships. And I'm like, so I tied that to my love of Jaws or Aliens, like, all James Cameron movies. Okay, not all, like 3. Because I'm like, I've never seen Avatar. I don't plan on seeing Avatar. I did not care for Titanic, even though I can quote it pretty easily. But I love Aliens, and I love Abyss, and I love the Terminator movies. Oh, okay, not all the Terminator movies, specifically T2. Because I remember T2, like, I remember, like, oh, I lived in a very small town in South Texas, like, less than 5,000 people, and then a smaller town later nearby of less than 1,800 people. And it's like, hey, we're going to go drive to Corpus to see Terminator 2. I'm like, whoa, that's a big deal.
All the way to Corpus.
All the way to Corpus? We're not even like not even Beeville. We're going to Corpus. Wow. That's amazing. And we're getting dinner afterward? What? Are we royalty?
What's it like being rich, Terri?
I'm like, well, when your dad works for a Federal Bureau of Prisons and your mom is a waitress at a truck stop, you start making some money, you know?
Life's pretty good.
Life's pretty good at this trailer park, I gotta say. It's the reality. But yeah, I remember just being a kid and not realize, like, now, or like, wait, that is why we lived there, or this. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm glad that nobody was like, we live here because we're poor. Because we're poor! Like, not like how, like, most fiction, like, always paints it. They're like, well, I'm, you know, just meet me at the record shop that I work at. I'm like, why? Because I don't want you to see where I live, okay? That's Pretty in Pink, specifically.
Oh my goodness. That's something that I've realized as I've grown up is just a kind of a combination of one, oh, that's why we did that.
Yes.
Because of, oh, we didn't have any money.
I thought it was just like a fun little thing.
Yeah, but also the stereotype of country people being closed-minded or whatever.
Closed-minded or always ignorant or not smart.
Right. That is, you know, totally not reflected in my family, actually, which is, I don't know. So what I've seen as I grew up is just like how emotionally intelligent my family is and how like all these things that are weird or different or just newly beginning to be accepted, I was always taught that they were okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just this combination of like admiration. I don't know. It's been really cool to grow up, because you will grow up being like, I want to be I want to be in cartoons. They don't get it, and it's like they let me do so much.
There were definitely, yeah, like I've talked about that, or like because I come from two very wildly different cultures. Sometimes, like when I would be like with my father's parents, and like, why do you and your brother do this? Like, I don't know. Whenever we're at our other grandma's place, this is how we do it. And they're like, oh, well, here's how we do it. And like, oh, I'm doing eating wrong. How? Well, oh, you don't know how to use a knife and fork. Here's how you do it. I'm like, I just want to pick up this waffle.
Yeah.
I don't see what the problem is. I still do it to this day. I did it this morning. I'm 37.
Right.
But, yeah, you just don't think about that stuff until, like, you're casual. Like, Monica and I were talking about this because Monica comes from, like, you know, a Hispanic/white thing, and I forget what I was saying, and she's like, yes, this! I'm like, oh my God, okay. I thought it was weird. She's like, no, that's just, no, you're fine. Oh. Like, Monica, why couldn't you go back in time and tell, like 8-year-old Terri that, oh my God, you just don't know until, like, you're, and that's the weirdest thing about, like, whenever you grow up, or, like, I was talking about, this was actually, like, when Aaron and I weren't really friends, but because he was a teenager, I'm like, I gotta watch, he was so fun to hang out with and everything, but I'm like, I have to remember, like, I'm in my 20s, I can't, like, just, like, start, like, becoming friends with a teenage boy. Mm-hmm. That's weird. And if you don't think it's weird, it is weird. I'm sorry, but I'm not at all. But he was talking about, like, some friendship girlfriend thing, and he's like, he was very intelligent from a very early age. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just because he's an actor or whatever, but he was talking about, I don't know, for me, it seems weird to have a girlfriend in high school. And my friends don't get it. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, it's because, like, you get in your head, like, are you dating her because you actually like her or because she's there? And he's like, yes. Oh, that's exactly right. I'm like, I get it, but if you really like someone, it shouldn't matter. And he was like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to say. You're an adult.
You're a grown-up.
What do you know? I thought you were cool. And then he just left. No, but the way that I think I ended up putting it, I'm like, well, yeah, no, you guys are just in prison together. When you get out, are you going to be like, man, glad we're still friends? No. Never going to see that person again. Which is a lie. I hang out with plenty of people from high school. But it is nice to just be like, I don't have to see you if I don't want to. That's great.
That's a concept I like.
Well, I mean, just with anything in general, like, that's a nice thing about growing up is being like, man, I can't believe we have to go here. We don't. I'm not going to that.
Right.
Like, there's nothing sexier than canceling plans. I could quote me on that.
Oh my gosh. This is a good conversation.
That was, of course, where I took a break. I'm like, is it, though? No. Ah, my gosh. Yeah, no, I did have questions for you and me. But I typically haven't taken questions, but it's been a while since you're my first guest in over a year.
Aww.
I think, and we're both vaccinated. Maybe I should have said at the top of the show. I know Texas is being a little weird right now. But
waxed and vaxxed. We did that before the show.
Just, she pulled some leg hair off me, and vice versa. It's the sexiest thing in the entire world. We're married now. But yes, because it's been a while, and I remember that anime show, that thing I did.
I do remember that anime show.
4 years ago. I'm like, oh my god, I had the idea to possibly listen, because I think you were on 2 times, to possibly listen to 2 older episodes. Dude, I can't, and I produced it. Like,
oh my gosh.
And it's not just because oh, well, Tatum's got his own show now, and I've got my own show. Like, we pretend that anime show didn't exist. But it's just like even me and him, when we thought about doing it again, and like, it was a specific time in our lives.
Yeah. And
it was even like, to be real, there are also references that I'm like, that's a 20-year-old Terri. I hate her now.
Yeah.
Or like she thought she was grown. Or there are some episodes that I've taken down because of content or people.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, let's leave that in the past. Because I had it in my head that I'm like, what if I listen to these old episodes with Tia and then maybe kind of like form some stuff around that? But I'm like, we're so different now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I don't even know where I would start.
Babies back
I think
then.
I would just be cringing the whole time, being like, oh god, I thought that was so funny. Or I thought I was being so edgy and different by just hating Twilight a lot. When even, I mean, honestly, I mean, if it's on, I'll watch it. I mean, even Robert Pattinson's like, yeah, I regret doing that. But I mean, money is the thing. All right, from Ben Phillips. He has no question. He just says that he misses us.
Aww.
It said, I miss you guys. Wait, you said questions. So I was wondering, I miss you guys? Question mark.
Yes.
Yes. I think he might have been my last guest in here. That dude brought the best assortment of snacks. But I also decided to wait till we were recording to open all the bags.
He is so good and so kind. I love him very much.
There's no hidden agenda with him. Also, like, one thing I miss, and I was talking to Stephen about this, I miss hanging out with my dude friends, which it's really hard to do now as someone in a committed relationship. For some reason, guys don't really like to hang out like they used to. And Stephen went, the reason for that is they were not your friends. They were waiting. Like,
me and my dad have had that argument several times.
I remember the first time I met your dad, it was at a convention, YuleCon. And Stephen and you were talking, and your dad was like, who is that? I'm like, oh, that's Stephen. And he's like, I'm like, oh, he's fine. I'm like, it's...
Oh my God.
How do you explain to your dad? How do you explain to anyone, Stephen? How do you explain that guy?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's par for the course for my dad.
Well, no, like that would have been my dad too. Like the last summer I spent with my dad, there was a point where I was so nervous about it. Was my first time really spending one-on-one time with him because we didn't talk for a while, and I'm really glad that I got this last summer with him before he passed away. And so I went to the small town where he lived and stayed there for the entire summer because I was kind of lost. I was 19. I didn't really know. Like I had this idea when I graduated, I was going to go to an acting conservatory in New York, and my mother was like, "I don't see how you're seeing we're paying for that, and please consider just going to a local school and have a fallback, please." And I got where she was coming from to an extent, but so my dad was kind of like, since you're lost and not really sure what to do, just kind of get away from it all. He didn't really like the North Texas area. He's like, just get away from it all, hang out with me. I would love to really get to know you, who you are now. But there was a point where he's like, who's that guy that you were dating, like, that I met at your graduation? Who was, what happened with him? I'm like, he really wanted to get married and have kids. And my dad got quiet. And he went, and you didn't want that? And I went, no. And he went, like, I mean, you're just so young. I'm like, yeah, I know. And he wanted to get married. Like, he was a guy, and he was my first love, my first male love. I had been in love with a girl before that. He just, I was just trying to explain. I'm like, I just don't really know what I want. I don't even know if I want kids. I don't want this. I think, and my dad's like, well, if you're not sure, you know, it's probably good that you broke it off. And he's like, are you, I don't, but such a country guy. He's from he was from West Texas. I still have trouble to this day with past and present tense. But, were you guys,
Oh no.
I'm like, and the way that I didn't answer it is like, I'm celibate. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, that's nice. I'm like, celibate doesn't mean I'm a virgin. It just means I'm not having sex right now. But he told everybody in this small town, like, he's like, yeah, you guys could try, da-da-da-da-da, but my girl is going places. She's celibate. And it actually took one of his friends, like, he's like, hey, you got a light? I'm like, yeah, sure. That was his name. And he went, someone needs to explain to your dad the difference. Because you ain't fooling nobody.
Oh my gosh.
But it's like this like small town thing. I'm like, nobody tell him. Please.
What a sweet memory.
Save me. Here, do not do this to me. But it's that like small town country thing. It's like, I'm not afraid of you, but men should be. Men should be terrified of you.
Right.
Like, you can take care of yourself, but you're still not.
Oh my gosh, one of my exes, like, it was one of those things where after you break up, everyone's like, never liked him.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
The worst. Ugh. I don't know why I just thought of that, but I got really upset in that moment just now, just thinking about that.
I think I might know which one this is, and it's why didn't you say something?
And their request or their response is always like, you can't. When someone's in a thing, they're in a thing, and you're just going to push them away.
I actually found that that's not true.
Me too.
Because there was a friend that's like, no, I'm done. And I I was on the phone with her. I looked at Steve and I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. They're breaking up. And Steven's like, who? I'm like, shut up, leave me alone. You know what? No. Here's the real truth here. For some reason I say, here's the full truth. Full truth, this. And here's what's always bothered me, da-da-da-da-da. The main thing is, I don't like the way he talks to you. I don't like this. I don't like that. You had the same da-da-da-da-da. And then the next day, the next day, we worked it out. I'm like, oh. And I went, you know what? You do you.
That's
if you need anything. And it's I know that you have, and blah, 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 but what you told me is definitely stuff I'm keeping in mind. I'm like, oh, thank God, because I love you. Please don't leave me.
Yeah.
But putting yourself out there, just being like, I care so much about you that I'm maybe willing to risk it just in case you might be making a mistake.
Right.
And to his credit, he's been doing really well. Going to therapy. Oh my god, it's so funny. We were talking about this before the episode. Oh my god, I flubbed on episode. It's from Carl G. Brooks. He asked what our home recording spaces are like.
Mine's in transition. It was a bunch of pillows and blankets. Now I'm actually getting big girl stuff, which I am consulting with Stephen about putting up correctly. So it's a process.
I think I'm very lucky to have Stephen, but then there are times, like, because especially in the last year, it's been interesting to have a lot of people really need to respect the engineers, because there are some people that, unlike you, you and Stephen are really close, and like, you guys, it's so fun. I love watching you guys talk, because it very much is like big brother, little sister, like country too, because he's a little country boy too.
Yeah.
But like the way you guys interact is so sweet. But people that don't have that rapport with him kind of expect the same treatment sometimes, or like the same treatment that it's like, oh, well, Terri said that you did this for her. I'm like, well, yeah, he put a ring on it.
Right.
And I allowed him a couple rings. But that sounded weird. But a couple rings where? No, don't think about it. Don't think about it. But there are sometimes like actors like, dude, I'm trying to do this and it's not working. Help me. Like, you don't know what I'm doing?
Right.
A lot. Including helping 3 other people that asked me a hell of a lot nicer than you just did. But, yeah, just over the course of the year, it's like, I think I've been the busiest I've ever been in my home studio, but it's jarring too, because I miss leaving.
Yeah.
Like us doing this at Okratron Studios. Thanks, Okratron. It's a great, like, because I'm away recording, but like when it's like I've been in my double-walled booth all day, and then I walk out and my dog's like, where the hell have you been? Like, I've been literally right here.
It's been 84 years.
Don't you love me anymore? That's what it feels like. Oh, thank God. I'm like, get out of here. We all have to get out of here. This booth I almost died in this booth. But yeah, double-walled whisper room. And all of the accoutrements. But I'm very, very lucky. Very, very lucky. Because like I was saying, my first booth was a laundry room with moving blankets. My second one, which I recorded all but Sabbath in my closet booth. And that's where I did my first couple of audiobooks, which I'm like, wow, I super should have died of heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
There's no circulation in a closet.
No.
As you know.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, you want to be the lead in the show? And like, yeah. Oh no. This character talks a lot, and I'm doing this remotely. Like, I can't imagine having done Wave remotely.
Oh, gosh. No. Oh, that would be awful. There's already so much talking for you.
See, I actually did this thing, and I went, I hate Tia. Let me finish. But Stephen went, I know. I'm like, she's the last person to record. She gets to work off of everybody.
It's true.
Oh, man. I'm like, that's only ever happened to me once, where I wasn't one of the first people. And I'm like, oh, but it was in Houston, too, where it's like, oh, cool, you guys don't have beep, so this is very helpful. Just, bam, oh, I'm just going to respond to Jay Hickman. Blat out, boom, done. Pam, bow. And now it's, but yeah, I'm like, well, mostly just selfishly, I'm like, I wanted to be able to work off of Tia, but I guess I'll settle for hearing you.
Man, it's kind of a blessing and a curse with the whole recording in your closet situation, because nothing will make you feel like a hack more than having to scramble to figure out how to record something. But it also kind of forced me to be like, okay, well, you've been doing this for how long?
Right.
Perhaps it's time for you to take it a little bit more seriously and up your game a little bit. And it was a challenge that I had to either accept or turn away from.
I mean, even me, like, what I do, I do this, like, Miyagi thing with Stephen. I'm like, all right, I need to work, I need to record these auditions, blah, 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 this. And Stephen will be like, okay. I'm like, all right, so I'm going to leave the room. I need you to unplug one thing. And in 20 minutes, if I haven't figured it out, then you come in and tell me what you want.
That's cool.
I'm like, but sometimes it's like it was this, and Steven's like, I don't even know what the fuck that is, but it wasn't that. Like, well, it works. He's like, but it works.
Oh man.
So you figured something out, but yeah, and I might have occasionally like ruffled some like engineer feathers the wrong way, which I'm like, you should always be nice to the engineer, but sometimes it's what do you know about it? I'm like, I actually know a decent amount. I don't know. But this is your project, so I'm gonna pretend like I know nothing. Unless you really piss me off. Which is very rare. But yeah, like just that was one thing on Twitter where, because some people are it was that turnaround time, because we've only been doing, like, I know we talk about Funny a lot. We work for a plethora of studios, but obviously that's how you and I met, and we've worked a lot with them. But there was, we started doing the simuldub thing in fall or winter of 2014.
Oh my goodness.
I remember that because I'm like, well, I was in the first one by like a week. The first one to premiere. But after that, initial shutdown in March of last year, I was scrolling through the comments of something, and someone went, well, if you really like the show, don't wait for the dub. They can take like weeks. And
yucky.
So I did a screen cap of it, and I went, we went from, wow, I can't believe how fast you guys finished this, to this within 5 years. And mostly everybody was like, I remember waiting like 2 fucking years for a VHS and hoping it was the right one. Like, so to see a lot of people be like, I don't understand why this pandemic should be slowing you guys down. I'm like, you don't? Really? I know what we do is not remotely an essential service, but I mean, it's a dangerous thing, and if one of us gets sick, that could be a career ender.
Right.
And obviously we had friends that had to deal with it, or personally be like, hey, so I have to go to this funeral, and be like, okay, so when are you going to be back? Because anime's got to anime. Like, all right, no, nobody did that. But it's hard not to kind of get in your head about it. So at one point I'm like, all right, so for those of you who don't know, a lot of actors don't have a home studio space. I've had one pretty much the entire time I've been voice acting, but a couple of people are like, this actress thinks that she knows everything. Da-da-da. Everyone knows that all you need is this mic, this da-da-da-da. I'm like, you don't know shit about this job. Respect it.
Everyone knows. I love
everybody knows. You just need this omnidirectional microphone, these piece of shit gamer headphones, and a screen. That's all you need. Like, I mean, in the right hands, if you were like Stephen, I would say probably. But you're not Stephen Hoff. You will never be Stephen Hoff. Iconic little boop. Damn.
I know, she's gorgeous.
The one time we've mentioned the movie.
Well, it's hard to be invested in this movie if you're not, like, invested in this movie.
Right. That's what I never, as a kid, like, watching, like, Mystery Science Theater, I'm like, they're so quick. I'm like, well, 2 of them are fake toys, like, that aren't really like, they've watched this, they've written jokes out. Like, well, that's good.
Because they're really funny.
I'm glad it's quick. Oh, here's a good one from Kristen McGuire. Woo! If you could have any book at all adapted into an anime, which would it be?
My goodness.
Can you imagine a Huckleberry Finn anime?
There actually is.
What?
There's a Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn anime. It's really old, and they dubbed it. I don't know who dubbed it, but it's dubbed. I would love to purchase the rights to that and redub it. Not because they did a bad job, just because that is just, right up my alley, you see.
Dude, there have been a couple of anime properties, some of which, what was it? I don't remember the name. So, and who knows? We might end up getting our hands on it, so I won't say it. But, like, where I'm like, if our job wasn't anime, I would love to watch anime that you and I talk about together. But I'm like, but it is. So it's like, We're just watching the flaps, wondering who we would cast in this.
Right. And I really, to be honest, I don't really think in terms of anime. I always think in terms of animation.
Mm-hmm.
Which anime is animation, but I don't ever think.
Yeah.
I never ever think like this should be an anime.
Mm-hmm.
Like this should be something else.
Yeah.
A cartoon, a whatever.
It's so bad. Something on screen where like there is just one thing where like this didn't age well as it was being shot.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I agree. I've always like I've talked about, and we've talked about like writing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the very slow process of writing my second book. It's just I've been busier, and where I thought I would be is nowhere near the case just because of the pandemic. I've had a lot. Like, you ever try to write when you're in a bad mood, or like create when you're in a bad mood?
It's the worst.
It's not.
I have properties. I say properties. I have properties. I call them properties because they're mine. I don't know what else to call them. Stories that I'm in various stages of creation, and I always feel like I'm going to be. Well, it's because of this. And it's like, well, this is just the process.
It's the process. There's no, like, that's the great thing about your stuff is nobody's putting that pressure on you but you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if I was like, oh, this will be available in December 2022. If it doesn't hit that, like, nobody's going to die.
Right.
Like, it's just going to get moved back. Or there was, I really love this fantasy series, but the first book was The Thinking Woman's Guide to Real Magic, and by Emily Croy Barker. And I loved this book, still do, but it took her 7 years to come out with a sequel, and it just came out, and it ended on her second book ended on a cliffhanger, and she so someone asked like, hey, so you ended this, like, are we to assume that there will be more Arendelle and Nora? And she's like, well, I did leave it open, and I promise you won't have to wait 7 more years to get a third book. And I'm like, oh, what I'm interpreting that as is her really punishing herself for having taken that long.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I didn't bitch about the wait. I was just waiting, and most true fans will.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard not to just get in your head. But yeah, I would love to get back to Kristen's question. I would love it if the series that in the audiobook, actually, not just the audiobook, the character is designed in personality and attitude, if those are different, by you. It was written specifically for you to voice her in the vocal thing.
Mm.
Like, actually, she's in the second book, and I'm like, Tia wouldn't say that.
Oh, my heart.
But now it's like what this version of Tia. So if I can't hear you say it, I change it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's weird,
no,
but
I love it. Oh, it's so awesome.
The one of few, the 11th Hour series by Terri Doty, specifically the only book out right now is One of Few, available on Audible and Amazon.
Gosh, since you said your own thing, I will say I'm working on a thing right now where creating an actual animation, just creating it and hiring people and becoming like the person that hires all the people that makes the magic happen,
big cheese,
and learning like what it takes to make a thing. And it was a 30-minute thing, and then I was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anybody you even go to start something from scratch, because we all use,
right,
like, creating an animation from scratch.
Right, because we're all technically doing post.
Right. So shortened it to got another script that's 3 minutes with the same characters. Like, I'll learn all the hard lessons on this 3-minute thing, and then realizing, like, looking at it like, oh, everything costs so much money. And so now it's like a funding issue that I'm like, okay, when I go to cons and I sell autographs, spoiler alert, you guys know that we make money at cons when we sell autographs. It's not like a surprise.
Scandalous.
Like, put all that money, I guess, towards my creative project and make this dream a reality. So I would also have to say my personal project, bring it to life. That would be a great thing.
See, why not? And it's not like maybe like this book. I'm like, I would love to see this, but I also, that's one thing about whenever something gets adapted, sometimes the reins can be too tight. I'm like, I don't need like a shot for shot, like this happened in the books. Nora specifically has to wear this, like da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, it's too artificial.
I love that.
It's too artificial. Like, it just feels like you're watching like an overly rehearsed play. Like,
that was my first show directing.
Yeah.
Looking back after it came out, I was just like, man, like, I thought I was directing because everything turned out exactly like I wanted, but everything turned out exactly like I wanted, and I'm not hearing these actors.
Right.
And that was a lesson for me. So it's interesting, the thought of, like, the interpretation of your own thing, but needing to loosen up. That's really cool.
I would think, yeah, like, honestly, the example that I think of, and I've read the 50 Shades book, and maybe I'm telling people too much about myself, and I've said this before on a panel, because I've been pretty vocal about reading. I read erotica, I read all that, and sometimes when you read bad stuff, I'm like, does this bitch know how, like, the community that she's writing about actually works? Because she's telling me she doesn't in her writing. But E.L. James got the books adapted to film, but she was heavily involved in the films. I watched the first one, and I was like one of like 4 people in the audience of a movie tavern because nobody wanted to see it with me. And I remember they're like, would you like some 50 Shades of Grey like wine? I'm like, oh my God. What is this? This book's already like overly hyped or whatever. But for someone, I'm sure someone like fully fucking loves it, and I'm not shitting on them. But I was just kind of sitting by myself having some hummus. And the people that were also there just turned around and went, do you want to sit with us? And I got there and they're like, have some 50 Shades of wine. And we didn't trash it, but I'm like, that did happen in the book. I'm like, yeah. And then he's going to say, and we could like start quoting it from the book. I'm like, this is where like you're too like, no, this is not how you make a sandwich. I'm like, everybody knows how to make a sandwich. I'm not, if you tell me you want Spanish rice, I don't know how your mom made Spanish rice. I'm going to make you my Spanish rice.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest way to put it. But like, it's just too clean. And you and I have been in properties where it's like all right, I'm going to give you my first take. And the director's like, no, specifically say it this way. I'm like, okay, I'm just, I thought maybe it was like hinting at this, who I'm playing off of. Like, don't worry about them. This is exactly how I want you to say it. And it's like, as an actor, you're like, okay, I'll do that. But it's just not fun.
Right.
You can tell when a project wasn't fun. And I'm sure, like, I've worked with you on a few projects. I always have fun. If anything, too much. But then I think I've been that way, too. Where my first time working with you as a lead, I remember getting notes back from my producers. Like, all right, so you haven't worked with Tia as much as this. Look out for this. And I just didn't listen. I'm like, I'm just going to let her play, and then we're going to tweak it because this is just a character she's not used to playing. It doesn't mean she can't do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have cast her.
I'm assuming notes.
Like notes like, here's what, like, how I usually direct Tia.
Oh, okay.
Not like, okay, so here's what you're going to do to, like, get yourself out of this swamp you put yourself in casting Tia Ballard.
Gosh, it's so long ago.
I know. Or, like, my first lead, I think there was a lot of pressure because like Joel was telling me that it was like the first like thing, like, yeah, we're doing this new thing, hope you're available for the next 12 weeks. And I was like, I'm actually going to New Orleans for 2 weeks. He's like, do you want to go to New Orleans or do you want to be the lead in the show? Like, but he said it like as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But there's that thing. I'm like, I don't like how chill you are because it really freaks me out. Because
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a backhanded thing. It's like, no, I don't girl world, you know. Where it's like, Tia, you look really cute today for you. Like, what Joel says is what he means. But he was so laid back that I'm like, I'm not being directed. He's like, because you're doing fine.
Right.
I'm like,
He's really good about letting you play.
Yeah, and an actor's director. But then there are people like me. Whenever I first directed, I was very much like, this is how you do it. I interned with all these directors for 4 months, so this is how it's done.
Yeah.
And to get out of that and just let actors play. I mean, occasionally you have to be like, okay, we're not getting it. I just need you to say it this way, because if you don't say it this way, this person's joke doesn't land. Like, oh, you're not getting it. I'm sorry. Let me bold it in the script for you. I don't mean to be a dick, but we're running short on time.
Right.
But yeah, like just like I don't want it to be like a.
It's all such a balancing act.
It is. But yes. I don't even remember. Kristen, that didn't answer your question at all, but it did.
It did. Like 50 times. 50 Shades of Kristen.
50 Shades of Kristen. 50 Shades of McGuire. What is it? From Courtney Stringer, who I love. Now, this is like one that I don't even know, but what lesson from life has stuck with you the longest? And what lesson from a show has stuck with you the longest? And which has proven to be better for you?
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that like an insanely good question?
That's really in depth.
I'm like, what lesson from life has stuck with you the longest? And what lesson from a show has stuck with you the longest? And which has proven to be better for you?
She's probably talking about anime, but I'm not going to go that way.
I don't know. Courtney is a friend who I met through anime, but she's very well read. She learned that I didn't read those Artemis Fowl books, and her way of saying you should read them was she bought me 3 of them.
That's really nice.
Yeah, like, oh, I really love this. Take the fucking books. Like,
yeah.
I guess I'm reading these.
I need you to know who I am.
I mean, I can't talk. I'm watching movies. Just be like, show me you, Tia. Show me on a screen.
I'm a Christian, and I always believe that God talks to me through media and characters and things like that. Every big change I've made in my life, something organically flows with some kind of artistry. When I was having a big breakup, Eminem came out with a new album or whatever, and it just hit me just right, you know, or I'll read this book at this time in my life and then make this big life change. So I feel like characters speak to me in that way. And the big thing that I have learned over all the things that I've loved, so has been the same as my life, is love gently. That's my big one, is that I came from a really good family, but my family has big tempers, a lot of them. And I struggled with that for a long time. It's like, if things don't go your way, you force them to go your way. Or you loom over them.
You're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
If you haven't achieved your goal,
right.
What are you doing wrong?
And then you turn that back onto yourself. Like, that's the type of pressure I would put on myself. Don't know why I like a word so much. But I've watched, like, my father, who was the worst. He grew as he became older, and he was like fine wine. He just, like, became so gentle and so kind. And for the first time, I have a relationship with him, like a real relationship with him. And it taught me that the most beautiful people that I know love so gently. And that's something that I, like, aspire to be like forever and always. So that's my big one.
I love that. Can I just say, total, like, side thing. I'm not Christian, but I've never felt less than in our friendship.
And you definitely are not less than. And thank you so much.
And that might kind of seem out of left field if people don't know me or know you that well, or more than likely me, is I've had a lot of not great experiences with religion. And I left the church because of just the way they treated my family after my parents divorced.
Yeah.
But that wasn't Christian. Or I don't know all the different blah blahs. Like for me, when I see like somebody using their religion, namely the shield of Christianity, as an excuse for bad behavior, it's really hard to not hear people's true love and true faith as something negatively, because I'm just waiting for you to use that against me for not feeling that way. And I'm like, no. Yeah. And I've actually said this before, where I'm like, no, I've seen friends that are true Christians, and that is not you, sir. You're just an asshole. Stop doing that. But so thank you for being such a great light in that way.
Oh my gosh, that means so much to me.
And I mean it, without this stupid mic right here. But and I don't know if I've said that to you before, because you and I have had some like very casual yeah. So anyways, Tia, I just need you to know.
It's people are very frustrating on being a Christian and seeing people be hurt that way. It's just it's really hard to see, and it's really frustrating because on my side, I have to hear a lot of ugliness from both sides, people who are and aren't. But at the end of the day, I'm put here to love, and nothing else is my business.
No, I mean, and that's what I know to be a real Christian now.
Thank you.
Like, you're my prime example, because you and I have talked about like other people that are like, what are you doing? Like, this is my Christian thing. I'm like, well, if it's Christian, isn't it everybody's? I thought that was the whole thing.
Right.
Like,
let me use my my love as a sword to stab you with. No, thank you.
No. All right. And somebody, I forget what it's like. Oh, right. I forgot you're an atheist, and I'm like, I'm actually not. What I did after I stopped being Catholic was I started studying all these different things, and my mother casually went, and you can do all of that, and I encourage you to do that. Just don't tell your grandmother. And so for a while there, I'm like, maybe I want to look into like what being a Wicca or a pagan or being a Buddhist. I was even considering converting to Judaism, or Judaism. I forget.
Just figuring out what works.
Yeah,
with you
and
your heart.
really, what it ended up being was, I'm like, I don't know, and I like that I don't know. I like that for someone who's very, I can be very very stern in that way. I consider myself agnostic in that I'm skeptical but open.
Right.
I'm open to the idea, but I'm not sure, and I'm happy not being sure. For me. But that came from a lot of self-discovery, because it used to be well, maybe I'm just going to be ironic and atheist and just
right.
This. But there was, the prime example, there was, and Stephen's had some bad experiences as well, but there was a point where we were walking around downtown Fort Worth, and this woman had a big picket sign of a fetus.
Yeah.
And Stephen and I were just walking, and you see these guys with cameras pointing at Stephen.
Oh, I remember this.
At the time of him having dreadlocks and everything, and just being like, "Hey, are you a baby killer?" Blah blah blah.
Oh,
and this woman grabbed my hand. You would think that we were in front of a Planned Parenthood or something, but we were outside the movie theater, just minding our business, and they were right where that line where they wouldn't get arrested for being close enough to a thing. And Stephen was about to go off on this woman for holding my hand, but I put up my hand and I stopped him, and I put my hand over hers, and I went, I really want you to have a good day, but no. And just let go of her hand, and she let go of mine. I'm like, this...
There's so much power in that.
I know what you want from me.
Yeah.
You want this reaction that you can share, because we typically kind of read as other, I think even more so when we try to look what the normal is. When Stephen worked at a mortgage firm and he wore khakis and he's like, I feel like I'm more out of place now. Well, because you're uncomfortable. That's not the Stephen outfit. The Stephen outfit is gray pants, black shirt, Chucks. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's feeling dressy, black button-up shirt.
That's
the only thing that changed. But oh my God. But yeah, I don't know, like life lessons.
But that's what I mean, right? Like loving gently, like you taking her hand and being firm with your boundary, but not losing it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Like that communicated so much. That was so powerful.
But it's just an acting in the moment. And I am very like hair trigger. And it's something that in this last year, I've fallen back into some pretty bad routines just because I'm not going anywhere. I'm not seeing any people and falling into bad habits just because it's like, well, maybe I don't need to do therapy right now. Or,
well, yeah. And you live with someone, you know, like, where are you going? You're not going anywhere. You're going to put up with this.
You get comfortable. And that's definitely, I'd say like when I think about lessons, I'd say that, the only reason that I am where I am is because of my support system. And it's owning up to your shit. Owning up to a fault and realizing that you don't know everything.
Right.
Is just as powerful as knowing it. Like, you know, that whole thing is they go, what do you have to say about this? Is it so hard if you don't know anything about it to just say, I don't know, let me look into that.
Right.
Like, well, no, we want a response now. Like, you're not going to get one. So it's just really owning up to being okay, not knowing everything.
Yeah. And it's that whole thing about like, until you're at a point where you can say, I am where I am because of the choices I made yesterday, you can't change tomorrow. You have to be able to be like, this is where I fall short.
Yeah.
Also, on the flip side, thank you for making space for me. You and Stephen have always been very welcoming and loving to me.
Well, and even like a couple of times where like I think we got caught up in a little bit of the bullshit. Like you didn't even, there was one time like with us as friends where like you didn't even know that I got caught up in something until I told you. I'm like, hey, like I think I badmouthed you once, and then I realized how fucking stupid that was because you did this, like, and it has nothing to do with me. Blah, 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 blah. And you're like, I didn't know any of that. It was like right after we recorded the audiobook. And I'm like, can I make you some tea? Like, yeah, let's have some tea and let's just talk about it. But it was like this, like, you didn't have to know that for a second. I'm like, right, this, But then I'm like, what am I doing?
Right. You can get caught up in that.
You can.
So easily. And certain people will pull that out of you. Certain people pull that out of me. And
oh my God.
It's just like you walk away going, that's not a reflection of who I am or who I want to be.
That's not me.
I don't like that.
Or that's not who I am now. Like I was thinking, and I kind of roughly taken this away from like, there's I really love Ted Lasso. Have you seen Ted Lasso?
I started it, but didn't get far.
Well, there was an interview like in preparation for this second season where Jason Sudeikis, you know, he's going through like some personal stuff, which I'm like, sometimes I get caught up in celebrity stuff, or I'm like, oh, this YouTube drama, let's go, because I love that this drama has nothing to do with me. I have no skin in the game. That's why reality TV shows exist. But he was talking about, you know, this very public breakup and his, you know, former, or I think they might still have a child. They have a child together, but like his girl, like leaving him and immediately dating somebody else. And he's like, right now it feels like this giant chapter in my life. And then in 5 years, it'll feel like a paragraph of my life. And then in another 5 years, it'll feel like a sentence. And then maybe it won't mean anything.
That's beautiful.
But, sometimes, yes, like I was hanging out with a guy that I've known since the 7th grade, and we became friends in the cafeteria because he laughed at a really bad joke I was making about Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan. In the 8th grade, I'm like, I'm so ironic and different. Like, has anyone seen like the one where Jason goes to New York? Like, yeah, there's a scene, where he takes off his mask, blah, blah, blah. And the guy is my friend Emmanuel, who I think you might have met at the drag show that we took you to, so not long ago at all. But don't you remember him? But there's a mutual friend that we have, and he's like, why do you always let her get to you? I'm like, I don't know. it's just, she's lying about this and da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, but what does that have to do with you? I'm like, because she's lying.
Yeah.
It's like, she's like, yeah, but you don't have to see her. I'm like, well, I have to see her because she hangs out with you and I love you. And he's like, oh, that's kind of sweet.
That's true.
Like,
it's hard though.
But it's really hard, like, to know who brings that out in you. But then it's like hey, I'm going here, and be like, is so-and-so going to be there?
Right. Or are we bonding through this kind of talk? Like just talking about other people? Is that what we have in common?
Is that the only thing? Is that all this is?
Yeah. And I guess I've just gotten, it used to really bother me. Like whatever anybody said about me, just like, I have to know, I have to remedy it because I'm not that.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Tia.
And
she was really blonde. She was really, really blonde.
I was really, really blonde last week. So
I love all blonde Tias. I love all redhead Tias.
Thank you.
I am an equal opportunity Tia Ballard.
I appreciate that. Some people, it's like I said earlier, some people just won't make space for you, and that's it. It's not even a thing. Sorry, it says the end on the movie now, and it's hard to like focus. I don't even think there's credits. There might be credits at the beginning.
There might be credit. We're just talking into something else.
Oh, what was I saying? Oh, basing your emotional core on someone else's weakness. You need to talk about someone. That's your need. Has nothing to do with me.
No.
There's something else I was gonna say. It was so good.
So that you were like how people were like what they were saying about you or something that you needed to correct about yourself.
Oh, I lost it. It was really good though.
It was really good. I was moved by it. Tears from my blowhole. I don't. Told you I love orcas, Tia. It's all full circle.
I didn't know you liked them that much.
Oh my gosh.
What were you saying right before that?
About just toxic people and getting them out of your life.
Oh, that's right. I've started this thing where if someone comes to me and says, so-and-so said this about you, I say, well, what did you say? What did you say in response to that? Ooh. Or did you say anything and you just brought that to me? Because I can't do anything, but you were in a position where you could have. It's just taking the power back.
I'd say it's a weird thing because of like just our schedules and everything. I don't get to see you or a few other people half as often as I wish I could. But then there's been something in the past couple of years, and I was talking to another girlfriend, a mutual friend of ours that I won't mention by name, at least on air. Like the same thing. I'm like, I feel like I'm not hanging out with people as much. And like through therapy being like, are you not hanging out with people? Or did you get rid of all the people that you're talking about that are like just there to start shit? Like, I mean, he said it much better than I did. But it's like, well, I mean, that's why, you know, the argument of like well, they're family. I'm like, that's never been an argument for me, you know, I'd say unfortunately, but I'm just better without having the like I'm letting a lot of stuff slide and feeling a lot of feelings about myself, but I'm letting these people get away with it because they're family.
Right.
So yeah, like for me, my family are my found friendships and my husband and my very needy dog. She's just too much. She sat on my head this morning. That's how I woke up. I went, okay, I get it. And then I went, yeah, it's 8:30. All right.
It's time.
Thank you, Willow. But yeah, so like I fall into this thing occasionally where I'm like, am I avoiding my friends? Because I get invited places and I feel like very honored and cherished in a lot of ways. But then it's like, I just can't trust myself to not be involved in unnecessary drama right now.
Ooh, I love that. It's knowing yourself enough to be like, this is where I fall short, and
right
I'm gonna
now,
not even put myself in that.
Like
that's beautiful.
And having a partner be like, babe, you're doing it. And be like, oh,
Yeah.
And he's like, do you want to go? I'm like, I don't, but I probably should. He's like, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. Let me wrap up. Or maybe I can just hang out with this person because I really love this person. Like, stay with that person. Hold on to them like glue. But yeah, and it most likely won't be that way, but it's also just kind of, knowing yourself in that moment. Like, there is no, like, one set Terri Doty. It's all the write is in the rewrite. And, like, that's life.
Mm-hmm.
Is, like, just being like, I'm the editor, and I'm going to say when this book is done. Like, and then, like, you don't see this, but the arms of these chairs are very trustworthy. But yeah,
Man.
We've talked, like, we went all like, yeah, Super Mario Brothers, to be like existential.
I know. I feel like we've been like deep talking this entire time. It's like, nice to see you again. Anyway, my deepest fears.
So, you hate your mother. What? It's okay, say it. Here's this inflatable clown. Punch it. How does it make you feel?
I couldn't punch a clown. They're too unloved.
Damn it, I love a clown. Okay? Am I in the minority here?
You are, but I'm with you.
All right, so it's both of us just being like, stop!
I love the unlovable. So knowing that, like, I can't hit you, everyone else hits you. I'm gonna love you.
I've had nothing but positive experiences with clowns.
You're right.
When
have I had a bad experience with a clown?
The last time I remember intentionally seeing a clown, there was one time I was at Joann's and I just walked past like an aisle and then walked backwards. There's just this woman in full clown with shoes and everything, just like looking at like these greeting cards, like, no. And I'm like, I want to take a photo of her, but I know how fucking rude that is. But this is just like a show I would watch. About like...
Just a normal person who wears a clown getup.
Penny the Clown.
Whoa, I feel like that's like...
That's the anime I want to make!
Wait a second! That's deep, though! It's the mask. Dang, it's...
Clowning around, coming this fall.
I love that. Funded.
Or clown and surround. I don't know. I could do this all day. Clown under. She's Australian. There you go.
That one actually made me upset.
More upset than any clown is. But anyways, yeah, no, like the last time I'm like, where, like, you're at the circus, I was wearing, like, my blue suspenders with my Donald Duck shirt. So, like, last week. Mm-hmm. Just being like, oh my god, there's a clown. And I actually think that clown had green hair, which is so funny, because I have green hair right now. But the last time I was at an airport, these two identical twin toddlers thought I was a clown, and they were so happy. I'm like, their mom's doing it right. Thank you.
Bringing joy.
Thank
That's all
you.
you're doing.
They said, bye, Green, when their plane called.
Green.
like,
correction, it's Snot. Snot Girl. It's my name.
It's Lottie. Okay. Right. Teach your kids some shit. How's that? No. We could keep doing this all day. I mean, the movie's over.
I know. We've talked for over 2 hours.
I love it. But before we leave, is there anything you want to promote? I know you're doing a lot right now.
I am, but I'm not going to promote any of it. Y'all can look it up.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like we're Googling.
After this comes out in 3 months, it's not even relevant anymore. Just please support and love us in the nicest way. We struggle.
Follow her, don't follow her. Follow me, don't follow me.
Whatever. Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. And it's all about joy. I don't know. And not joy and feeling okay.
It's all right not to be joyful. Hey, you don't have to be the clown every day.
No, sometimes.
Sometimes you're...
We're trying to end it on
Sometimes you're green, sometimes you're not.
Sometimes. You're just...
I want you to take this somewhere really clever, because I got nothing.
Hold on, give me a sec. I don't know, I think I kind of lost my vibe after Clown Under.
Sometimes you're the clown, sometimes you're the guy in Poltergeist with the clown wrapped around your neck. It's not so funny sometimes.
I mean, that scene was pretty.
Clown Under. Rated PG-13.
Deep Clown Under. I don't know.
Deep Clown Under. That's the sequel.
Oh, no. Tia, thanks for being on here and for being just awesome.
I love you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
you.
Thank you for having me, especially after your long stint of doing this on your own.
And then next month, I also have a guest in person, but I mean, she's got a lot to live up to.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to find out who it is.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Until next time. Oh my gosh. Clowns.
I was about to say, have a good day and clown under. You know what it means.
Clown under.
If you take a McDonald's straw and go up and down with it, it sounds like a clown nose.
It does.
So just if it's still going, if the mics are still on, you know that now. Use it.
Send in the clowns. We're done.
Got it.
We're done, Stephen!